Now let's chat about Nintendo. They're just absolutely smashing it with the console sales. So they just had their quarterly results, and the numbers are just pretty astronomical. I think, like, just generally for this generation, outside of the Xbox One, the numbers have been massive and way bigger than anyone expected. But even with that, man, like, these numbers are just ridiculous. Like, just in the one quarter that they had, they'd sold 6.8 million Switches, now bringing it up to about 70 million. So it's like 68.3. So about 70 million Switches are out there. And Animal Crossing has just been bonkers. So it's sold, now that we know the numbers, because it's the digital and the physical numbers. Animal Crossing itself has sold 26 million units in 6 months.
That's insane.
Which is just, you just cannot believe it. And then the thing that blew me away with that is because they finally, also confirmed the numbers around, what the total sales are for the games. So Nintendo has a weird list of games that they show, and it's up to them how much they want to show or not show with this kind of stuff. But they have a list of Switch sellers that are about over 1 million. And remarkably, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still in front of Animal Crossing. Now, I probably would have bet that, it would have fallen behind finally, but no, Animal Crossing is still number 2, which is just also bonkers that they've now got 3 games that have sold over 20 million copies on a console that they're exclusive to as well, by the way. So like Smash, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and then also Animal Crossing, all over 20 million
Mario Kart
sales.
exclusive. You say exclusive, exclusive to Nintendo, but I mean,
Yeah, exclusive to Nintendo. But when I say Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that number, that, like, I'm saying that's exclusive to this console, the Deluxe Edition, and those numbers aren't incorporating the Wii U numbers.
oh yeah, yeah. It's just, I mean, it is essentially the same game as Wii with some.
Oh no, definitely is.
But,
I mean, hey, you can use 2 items. Come on, that's completely different.
but it's yeah, it's huge, and it's funny. With I'm one of the holdouts on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like, we're probably pissing you guys off because you're all like, let's play Mario Kart. I'm like, I already spent so much money on a Wii. I don't want to buy it again and spend so much money. Like, it's almost like that game. I never see that drop in price. Or why would they?
No.
Why would they drop in price?
I think I picked it up digitally. The one sale it's had since it launched, which it was like $53.
Oh, man.
And that's the only time it's dropped to that amount, and then it went back up. So it's never gone down since.
So it's like, unlike something like Smash Brothers, which owns Smash Brothers for Wii U and Ultimate, like, they're very different games. So as part of me, it's like, man, I loved Mario Kart 8. No, it's not like Breath of the Wild situation where it didn't click with me. I love Mario Kart 8. It's I think it's probably the best Mario Kart. But
oh, really? Interesting. We have to do that one day. Rank all the Mario Karts.
Mario Karts. I think I need to bite the bullet. Next time I see it on sale, I'll have to pick it up, I think.
Yeah, I'll let you know. So normally with Nintendo, with their sales, they have 2 times during the year that they do it, and Christmas is one of the times that they're consistently doing sales, and for first party. So probably keep your eye out on it around that time. Yeah, these numbers are crazy. And then the thing that I wanted to look at and talk about as well is just the trajectory of the sales. Because, when this launched, there were people who were laughing about the Switch, kind of going, this is not even going to sell like 20 million units. Nintendo's dead. They need to be a developer and sell their games on PS4 and Xbox, which they would be laughing right now.
Are they? Like, I remember when the first trailer came out. There was huge buzz about this. Probably not as much as the Wii. The Wii was like an anomaly, but this wasn't. And anyone, like, I remember, like, the people were talking about the Switch all the time when they did it. Like, unlike the Wii U, like, if people were thinking this is another Wii U situation, then they were completely ignorant, honestly.
Yeah, no,
this had buzz. This had buzz.
I think this had more buzz than the Wii, to be honest. I think the Wii exploded once people got it, and like, you couldn't buy it for like 2 years in America, and people saw it and they were like, "Wow, that's really different." Like, I don't get that. Like, that's my mum can play that game.
Yeah,
So
I guess I'm factoring
once it came
in,
out, it went crazy.
Yeah, I guess I'm factoring that part in as well. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean even the Wii numbers, like, so like we're just looking, and you can look at this stuff. Especially there's really good analysts, like, and what a cool job. Like, I'm in business, and this would be such a sick job. There's a guy, Daniel Ahmed. If you search for him on Twitter, he's like the preeminent video game analyst in my books now. He's at Nyko Partners. And he has a lot of connections into China. So that's kind of how he broke into the industry, sort of had all those really interesting numbers that are coming from China and just expanded from there. But, he's got some really cool charts, and just looking at the line and the sort of, the gradient of the Switch, it's pretty much straight on par with PS4, PS2 and the Wii. Like it's running at that run rate. So it's really when they want to end the generation, I think that will be the longer, like the determinant factor. Because the thing about the PS2 that people forget, it's a number one seller. It sold about 150 million. They actually effectively delayed the launch of the PS3 and the 360 because of the GFC. So the PS2 had an extra 2 or 3 years that it probably shouldn't have had. And then also the fact that the PS2, by the way, a lot of people bought it just for the DVD functionality. So it's kind of one of those ones where it's you got to read through the numbers a little bit, but man, the Switch is just friggin' selling like bonkers.
I'd be interested. I'd be interested to see where the 3DS, because the 3DS kind of, it started slow but then picked up huge. So I wonder. I don't know when that pickup was. Was it past the 43-week mark, which is what we're talking about here? Because I kind of have a feeling it may have started to pick up around that time. Like, because I remember when it launched, it was definitely like, what is happening? No, like, it was almost like people like, it wasn't really, hitting it. Then it kind of, I don't know what it was, if it was a game release or whatever that just kind of, then sent it skyrocketing. But I wonder.
I mean, it was much. I just shot you the graph that shows you the chart out to 5 years worth of 3DS numbers, which is beyond what the Switch has done.
Yeah.
So it shows you the sort of gradient and the trajectory it's on. The 3DS, big part of it was when they dropped the price in the States. Like, less so the way it worked here, but definitely in America it was overpriced. And that was like a year or 10 months into it, I think. And then it started picking up more momentum at that stage.
Okay.
But it never really was. It's quite an interesting one, the 3DS, actually. It sort of, I think it gave people a lot of thought that gaming and portable gaming was dead, because it was just, in terms of how many units it was selling per month, it was like half of what, the Nintendo DS sold, which, by the way, the Nintendo DS sold like bonkers numbers. That's like 100 plus million. Like faster than the Wii, which is like nuts when you think about it, right? And it sold like 130 or 140 million from memory, the Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah. The problem with that stuff though is I know you need to count it, but as soon as you start factoring in all the different versions, it kind of, it's like the Game Boy when people, the Game Boy Color was definitely a different thing. So I'm glad that people kind of treat that as a...
No, but they don't. They count that. They count that
that's
together.
wrong. That's wrong.
I agree. So like on that one, and this is real niche stuff we're talking about right now. But
what we're here for.
Yeah, no. So this, I get really into this stuff. I totally agree with you. I think it's wrong that Nintendo counts Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, and Game Boy Color as one console. And I don't even think they've throughout time really given the numbers on the splits. Whereas the DS, I disagree with you. I think it's completely fine to count them all together. Like, I wouldn't expect to see a separated count for Xbox One, Xbox One X. Like, it's the Xbox One generation. Like, you can buy an Xbox One game, it will work on any of them. I get with the DS, there were like 4 games or whatever it was that had to have the DSi. And then same as like the 3DS. With the new 3DS, there's like a handful of games that need to have the new 3DS for it to run. But it's a generation, man. Like, you got to count them all together. It's just revisions.
The Game Boy Colors are worse though, because there was a lot of games that were only playable on Game Boy Color.
Yeah, and I think they're cheating because there's a bunch of those games as well that would work if you plug them into the Game Boy itself. So, there was three types of games. There was Game Boy, like, Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games that had a mode that you could still plug it in to the Game Boy and it would work. And then there was strictly Game Boy Color games that wouldn't even work at all. So yeah, I think it's wrong that they include the Game Boy Color sales, but I'm fine with the DS ones. Yeah, it sold 150 plus million. The DS. I actually I've always been a huge believer in the Switch and its viability. Just it feels a niche that people really didn't identify. And I don't see it not getting past 100 million sales. I feel like it's up to Nintendo if they don't want it to be 100 million sales.
So if they release a Switch Pro or something that is more powerful, that there's some games that will only run on it, they're going to count that as part of the Switch sales, aren't they?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But my theory is what's going to happen is they'll have a Switch Pro. And I still believe that will be next year. And I don't think there'll be any exclusive games on it. But I think effectively there will be. You know what I mean? So I think games will work on the Switch, but it will just run just absolute shit that people feel like you have to play it on the Switch Pro, which I think will be fine because I think those games that are like that are going to be the ones that aren't like the family games. So people will kind of know that. And then I think, we're talking maybe about 5 years from now or 4 years from now, I feel like they will release a revision of the Switch, let's just keep it simple, but the Switch U that will play all the Switch titles.
Can you imagine? Switch
so that
U.
will be the one. That would be funny.
How amazing would it be? Because I don't think they would, but Nintendo definitely poke fun at themselves. How awesome would it be to have an April's Fool Switch U?
Do you want me to give you? I'll give you a prediction. I'll give you a prediction. This is I don't know, maybe this is a really common prediction, but this will be my prediction. And Nintendo is just so crazy they'll do something stupid like this. They'll release in 4 years the Switch VR. So it's it can be played as a Switch, but then you can mount it onto a headset that plays VR. So it's the same unit, but it's a VR display, and then it can also be just a regular display.
Well, what do you mean? They've already got VR. It's called Labo VR.
Yeah. No, honestly, I think they'll take that concept with Labo, and they keep on. Nintendo, one thing you have to give to them, they always want to do something different. And I just can see them going, down that path of wanting to, do a VR thing in a very Nintendo way, I'm sure. So, but yeah, they'll be down the track. But yeah, I think they'll definitely count the Switch Pro sales, and they'll get a stack of sales, man. They can keep selling this thing for 4 years.
I'm seeing it right now. So, you've got the Game Boy, right? Mm-hmm. Then they go, okay, VR is virtual. So they call it the Virtual Boy.
Yep.
That's it. That's what they're going to do.
Oh, you idiot. It's such a lame joke. And then, the one thing I'll shout out about the sales figures, I know one of my most beloved franchises, Metroid, it just doesn't sell, right? At all. The best seller ever is nothing compared to the Animal Crossings of the world, the S tier Nintendo franchises. But Xenoblade, I'm kind of shocked that they keep going back to the Xenoblade when it's selling 2.4 million copies, Xenoblade 2, and then the definitive edition sold 1.3 million copies.
Those sales numbers aren't you got to remember. There's a lot of different levels of games in terms of sales and stuff. And those numbers aren't actually that bad for, we're talking mid-tier games here in terms of franchise and stuff. Not they would love, obviously, to be able to sell 20 million copies of Xenoblade, but they know they're not going to. So it's all about, I think, trying to, some of that stuff is also about just really, building out a really good, range of games. And I don't know the budget that goes into making the Xenoblade games with, oh my god, I can't remember the developers behind Xenoblade, but
Monolith.
Monolith, that's it. So I'm sure the development costs are nowhere near probably what some other big titles are. So
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so these are just my insanely rough numbers, right? So, like, if it's selling like 1.3, I guess that's unfair because that's a remaster. So, just going to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is a new game on the Switch, if it's selling, 2.5 million units, and they're probably realizing like, $50 US per copy, because they do sell at like a high price in America, or maybe more like $45. Like once you take away some of the costs, it's like about $100 million revenue that they're getting in the door. I reckon they probably got like 80 people working on it, 150 grand ish each US, 4 years. That's about 50 million. I guess that's not a bad profit. Hmm.
but then
It just feels like risky.
so
What was that?
then you got to factor in marketing and all that stuff. So
Yeah, for sure. Like, I guess where I'm coming from is just they're not cheap games to make, and they're not like selling like crazy, And the biggest one that I wanted to call out is Fire Emblem. Like, that is not sold that well at all. Like, yeah, it's just kind of interesting. Like, whether they seem to love Fire Emblem and they just want to keep persisting with it now. Although, like, they were thinking about killing it like a few, like 10 years ago. So I really think it could go down that path again, Fire Emblem, because it's just really not selling that well. Like, I'm just looking at the list and it's just so far down the list. It's crazy. Like, they don't even publish the sales anymore of Fire Emblem because it's just not selling on a quarterly basis. So,
but if you start to look at outside of Nintendo, like those sales numbers are not out of the ordinary for games like that. That's just the nature. Like they aren't wide appealing games.
no, I get it. It's just like for them, like, you've seen what Nintendo does. They do shelve franchises that don't work, like F-Zero, right? They just don't sell as well as they want it to. And the thing is, what's going to make more money? Like an Animal Crossing spin-off that the team behind Fire Emblem could work on, or a Fire Emblem game. Like, at the moment, unfortunately, probably the Animal Crossing spin-off would make more money.
I've got another idea. Okay. How about Animal Crossing Muso game?
That'd be really cool, actually.
That's it.
That would be cool. I reckon people would love that. So I was thinking of like a Animal Crossing tactics game.
No. Get Ninja was it Ninja Team or what? No, it's not Ninja Team, that's very different. You get a Koei Tecmo working on a Animal Crossing Warriors.
Jesus. All right, I think we've got to straighten up because we've got some serious topics ahead.